wrong with me?
Would you like us to start listing?
What? No, it's... Christmas is almost here, but it doesn't feel like it this year.
Speak for yourself. Personally, I've been listening to Jingle Balls all month on loop in preparation for Christmas.
Don't you mean Jingle Bells?
No.
It's Christmas Eve, and while my house might reflect that, my soul doesn't.
I didn't think gamers had souls.
No, you think they're versions.
I'm just not feeling it this year. I mean, I've put up the Christmas decorations, we've watched the best Christmas film known to man, and hell, with you guys here, this is basically a Christmas party.
Oh, have you tried dressing up as an obese home invader?
Well, I couldn't get obese in time for Christmas, but I did try wearing the hat.
And?
It just didn't feel right on my head.
Which hat did he put it on?
Which hat did you put it on?
Well!
Don't answer that.
I guess all that's left to do is play Nintendo games until my heart feels joy again. Anybody up for some Tetris Attack?
You know what? I have something that might be able to fix you.
Oh, really? What did you have in mind?
Tell me what this is.
It's Chibi Robo.
Damn it! Sorry guys, it didn't work.
What didn't work?
The incision.
What would I need an incision for?
Well, we figured out the cause of your lack of Christmas spirit, and you're not gonna like it.
Oh God. What's wrong with me?
It's nothing too serious or life-threatening. It's
just what?
Well...
Spit it out already!
You're just a Nintendo fan!
That... Surely there's another explanation.
Think about it. What's the one thing all your Christmases have in common?
Questioning my faith?
No, you always spend your day playing Nintendo games, and it's finally caught up with you.
What do you mean?
You've spent so much of your time doing one thing, and it's just not making you happy anymore.
You need to find a new way to spend your Christmases. You need to find a way to be happy without Nintendo.
And there's no other way?
I'm afraid not.
And you guys think this'll work?
No.
Hey, I heard you're a fan of video games. What did you think about Halo Infinite?
No, I've never played that one. I'm just a Nintendo fan.
What? So you've never played The Last of Us?
Nope, I'm just a Nintendo fan.
What about Forza?
Ratchet and Clank?
Surely you've played Spider-Man. Surely.
You must have played Gears of War.
Borderlands?
Okay, what about Spider-Man 2?
Have you played Journey?
Assassin's Creed?
God of War?
I'm just a Nintendo fan. Four words that have defined my life ever since 2007. This was the year that I discovered video games. The year that defined who I am to this very day. The year that I could almost speak full sentences. My video game career started 16 years ago, with my stepdad's Black DS Lite and his copy of Mario Kart DS. My earliest gaming memory is me watching him play on Figure 8 Circuit, and I asked him, how come Mario and Luigi are throwing items at each other? I thought they were meant to be friends. Only to then have the mind-blowing revelation dropped on me that they're brothers. That was a big day for me. I would go on to get my own DS Lite later that year, alongside a brand new copy of New Super Mario Bros. I remember bragging to my nana about how good I was at the game. I'd always tell her, you go over to the red dot, go back to the start, and then turn the game off and on again because you don't know what to do. Look at how far I've come. The next year, I got a Wii and spent every night after school playing Mario Kart Wii, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Poke Park Wii, Mario Sports Mix, and not Super Mario Galaxy because I never understood how the that game worked. I also played a few GameCube games through the Wii's backwards compatibility. Mario Sunshine, Mario Kart Double Dash, Super Smash Bros. Melee. I didn't sink as much time into them as the actual Wii games, but that didn't make me any less fond of them. In 2011, I got a red 3DS and a copy of Mario Kart 7, and I would go on to rack up hundreds of hours on this system thanks to games like Super Mario 3D Land, Animal Crossing New Leaf, New Super Mario Bros. 2. In 2012, I got a Nintendo Wii U alongside New Super Mario Bros. U and Nintendo Land, and even though I grew up with a Wii, I absolutely spent more time with this system, thanks to games like Mario Kart 8, Super Smash Bros., Mario 3D World, and countless other titles. In 2017, I got a Nintendo Switch with 5 games, including Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, 2 of my favourite games ever. And then a few years later, in 2020, I would enter my retro collecting phase, and would go on to amass an unhealthy amount of games from the GameCube, N64, GBA, SNES, Game Boy, NES, and at no point during any of this did the thought of playing BioShock cross my mind. I'm a Nintendo fan, and I've always been so quite comfortably. I've never had an urge to venture out of my gaming comfort zone. Like, what would society stand to gain from me playing Peggle 2? I know I've been missing out on a lot of genuinely great games, but the fact of the matter is, I've never cared. I've always been happy in my own little corner with my Animal Crossing and my Pikmin and my lag of a givable shit for Ghost of Tsushima. I've never had any real reason not to expand my gaming tastes beyond red jumping Italian men, but I've also never had a reason not to not expand them. Now, I'd be lying if I said I'd never dipped my toes in my neighbour's pond. I got an Xbox One in 2016 and spent a decent amount of time playing Overwatch and Rocket League and Donkey Kong Country Raiders of the Lost Banana. My dad had a PlayStation 4, and I would play games like Grand Theft Auto 5 and Guitar Hero Live with him, but I'd always find myself crawling right on back to the Pikmin machine. While I have experiences with other consoles, I've never been a fan of them. But what's Christmas if not the time of new beginnings? A time for joy. But I did ask around at a local church, and apparently that's not strictly mandated. Becoming a fan of anything other than Nintendo games could be just the ticket for me to actually enjoy my holiday season, and I don't want to sound like too much of a self-centered stain, but I'd quite like to be happy. So, what did you guys have in mind?
Well, we figured we'd start you out in familiar territory.
With Punch-Out!
The is wrong with you?
I don't know, that, apparently.
We thought some Sega games might be a good way to get you out of the darkness, so we brought a few for you to try.
But I spent last Christmas playing a Sega game.
And it was pretty fun, right?
I mean, I had all of my beloved belongings taken away from me, broke the timeline, and had to fight a Mega-Quip god in order to be set free from his control, but I did end up not hating the game, yes.
See, the main thing is you had a good time.
I feel like that's not the takeaway I want you to have from what I just told you.
Enough stalling. You can play Sega Mega Drive games through Switch Online, so you can keep using, I think you said Pokemon books?
Adorable, but very wrong.
Whatever. I think it'll be best for you to start with Sonic 2.
Didn't you just say I'd be playing on the Switch?
Sure I did.
So why would I need a cartridge?
Well, because...
You guys do know I don't have a Mega Drive, right?
We do now.
And why Sonic 2? Why not Sonic 1?
Yes.
You guys didn't think this through, did you?
No.
Alright, let's do this. You guys are in the way of the TV. If only my therapist could see me now. I don't need to explain what Sonic 2 is, right? The sequel to one of the most iconic games of the 90s. Not sure why I'm not playing that one, but when a sex worker, an alcoholic real estate agent, and a man being abused by 2 lines of work walk into a bar, you apparently get a single-digit accumulative IQ. Now, this isn't my first encounter with the titular blue rat. I played Sonic Mania and loved it, played Sonic Superstars and thought it was pretty alright, didn't play Sonic Forces and suffered the consequences. But this isn't even my first rodeo with Sonic 2. My dad had the iPad version and I used to play it every now and then, until I discovered that just being bored was better than playing a platformer with glass. Whenever I played it, I couldn't get past Chemical Plant Zone, so if nothing else, it's nice to know I've evolved. Sonic 2's whole gimmick is the Hedgehog's speed. The levels are designed to allow you to maximize how many circles Sonic's hoodie string legs can do per second. It's a fun gameplay concept. Obviously, it's one that remained pretty much unchanged for over 30 years, but even as far back as the second game, I can see why it clicked with people. It is so incredibly satisfying to find a part of the level where you can build up enough speed, go absolutely flying, and maintain the momentum to soar through massive chunks of the level design. There's a lot of opportunities to do this too, although definitely not as many as I was expecting, and the fast-paced sections being as fun as they are, makes the parts where you have to take your time feel really boring by comparison. The worst offender, by far, is Aquatic Ruin Zone, this game's water level. The water physics in this game are repulsive, to put it nicely. It's slow and sluggish, sure, but it also didn't feel like it was responding to my inputs properly. I would start waddling and go to jump to try and get up somewhere, and the game would jump as if from standstill, meaning what little momentum I could have had going for me was pulled out from beneath me. Everything about the water zones was the playable equivalent of a cluster headache. It takes what works about Sonic's formula and says, "Oh, you like that? You. It's clunky, it's miserably slow, and the infrequency of the air bubbles makes me want to run to my garden and electrocute a squirrel. The rest of the game, or at least the rest that I played, was super fun though. The music and sound design is great, the level themes are really unique, the boss fights were a blast, it's Sonic the Hedgehog 2. You already know it's a good game. Me being 3 decades late to the party doesn't mean I have to spell it out for you.
Alright, that was a decent little time. I kind of already knew I'd like it though, considering Sonic Mania is one of my favourite platformers ever, and Sonic 2 is basically just a lesser version of that game.
Ignorant and wrong, but sure.
Fine. Play another game then.
Fine, I will. Which one?
Echo the Dolphin.
Oh, okay, why that?
Play Echo the Dolphin.
Wow, yes, I'm just asking...
Play Echo the Dolphin now!
Holy shit, okay!
Echo the Dolphin is sick! This is a game where you play as a dolphin, and it is not necessary for that sentence to continue. Echo the Dolphin takes place entirely underwater, which is a pretty unique setting, all things considered. A lot of games feature underwater areas, but I can count on my fingers the amount of games I personally know of that take place fully under the sea, and none of the ones I know of let you play as a dolphin. Our protagonist being a resident of the sea offers up an immensely unique gameplay experience. The core movement in this game is obviously swimming, and by holding the A button on the Switch, we're able to increase our swimming speed, which then allows us to zip around the place super fast, and with some really smooth, tight, responsive controls. It's intensely satisfying. One thing I did find quite amusing was that I kind of just forgot that dolphins. You have 2 health meters in the top left corner at all times. The grey one represents your health, which obviously goes down whenever you get hit, but for the longest time, I could not figure out why the blue meter was going down. I kept dying out of nowhere, and I was just so confused. Then I popped my head out of the water and saw the meter go all the way up, and I realized, God! I'm so fucking stupid! Dolphins need to come up for air, so of course that's a core part of the gameplay here. And they even incentivized it by having it be one of the single most fun things to do in a video game. I think the thing that resonated with me the absolute most with this game, however, was the atmosphere. Not many people know this about me, but I don't really gel with the ocean all that well. I can be on boats, go to the beach, paddle, even swim in the sea when it actually manages to be above 0 degrees Celsius. But the vast depths of the ocean have always unsettled me. The fact that we know so little about the ocean terrifies me. The way the deepest reaches of the sea are portrayed in films and TV and games terrifies me. The section in Majora's Mask where you swim out towards that immensely big cavern with the enormous eels scared me so much that I'm honestly kind of glad I don't get to play that game anymore. And while Echo the Dolphin starts out pretty happy and bubbly, once tragedy strikes and Echo's shoal go missing due to some unknown powerful force, the game takes on a rather somber atmosphere. There's a sudden weight to everything going on. The music is melancholy, and the deep dark blues of the ocean help elevate that tone, but that's then contrasted by the fast zippy action of the gameplay. It doesn't last forever, but that atmosphere was so compelling to me, and gave me an immediate connection to this game. The only complaints I have are that with everything being ocean themed, the environments do all blend together a bit too much for my liking. That, combined with the game honestly being pretty cryptic, led me to spending half of my playtime wandering around aimlessly, wondering what the hell I was actually supposed to do, and where I was supposed to go. Also, Echo can use echolocation as a form of interacting with the world around him. One of the dolphins earlier on in the game says that using it on clams makes them heal you, and that son of a bitch lied to my face. But other than that, I love this game, man. I can already tell it's a gem, and I'm quite excited to maybe play through the rest of it someday.
So, you guys want me to play any other Sega games, or are we good here?
I think you should play a game whose title perfectly describes you.
Altered Beast.
I was going to say Mean Bean Machine, but go for it.
Altered Beast is a game where you play as Buffman Redshirt, who is commanded to rise from his grave by this translucent bearded man with a crystal ball. He commands us to save his daughter. From who or what? Shut up! This game is a 2D beat-em-up, so your objective is to move right and punch things. That's about all there is to it. You have a jump button, a punch button, and a kick button, and can use each of those things to help you defeat the many enemies you'll find throughout the levels. Right from the get-go, the game has a lot of religious symbolism going on, what with the two-headed hellhounds, the resurrection from the dead, and the Pope. Defeating enemies sometimes grants you access to these little orbs, and once you collect one, you strip. Oh god, was that a penis joke? These things grant you an extra level of strength, and once you've collected enough of them, you alter into some beast, and are given a new moveset to play with. This is a pretty unique idea, and discovering how each beast differs from Redshirt and each other has a lot of fun to offer. Once we've transformed, we're then able to confront the Pope, who was actually evil. A religious leader secretly being the bad guy? Now that is a twist. Defeating the Pope in whatever form he takes allows you to move on to the next level. Ha, my mistake. It's not the Pope, it's Voldemort before his botched nose job. This game offers a decent amount of entertainment value. The character designs are really cool, and the sprites are really good looking. The gameplay is limited and pretty clunky, but it has its charm, and the sound design is the best thing my ears have ever witnessed.
Power up! Welcome to your doom!
Is exquisite, but the game does have one teeny tiny little problem. I hate it. These levels are absolutely flooded with enemies, a lot of whom can jump on screen with little to no warning. And the invincibility frames and hit cooldowns are insanely unforgiving, especially just after the transformation cutscenes. You'll just be stuck in place, forced to take hit after hit after hit, and then you'll become all too familiar with... And it happens. Over. And over. Again. And this would be fine, but to the best of my knowledge, there are no health items or extra lives to be found. And so whenever you do lose all of your lives, the game boots you right back to the start. I get that this was the standard for the time, but Coca-Cola used to have cocaine in it. That doesn't mean it's okay looking back with a modern eye. So, yeah, that was a bust. I think if the amount of enemies thrown at you was toned down and the moveset was tweaked to be a little less immeasurably useless, this game could be pretty great. But as it stands, it's irritating as fuck.
So, thoughts so far?
Well, these games can be pretty fun.
Yeah! Yes!
But I just can't see myself playing them over any Nintendo games, even from the same era.
Oh my god, you couldn't just make this one change for us, could you?
Wait, what?
You still play retro games, and you never got a haircut. This is all we're asking for.
You said I had to become a non-Nintendo fan to save my Christmas spirit. You said this was for my own good.
Well, he's not technically lying.
God damn it, Carson, we were so close.
Wait, so you guys all have a problem with me being a Nintendo fan?
Yep.
Cat is out of the bag.
Why are you asking me?
What the f*** is wrong with you guys? I thought we were supposed to be friends, but the only time I see you lately is when you want me to change something about myself just so you can be happy.
Hey! We went to a funeral with you.
Big deal. You guys are bad friends. And anyway, you don't have any proof that I'm a Nintendo fan.
You bought a Wii U.
Yeah, as a joke.
You literally have over 300 Nintendo games.
Ever heard of an investment? These things skyrocket in value. It's only a matter of time before I'm rich and lonely.
You've spent the last 4 years talking about Nintendo games and only Nintendo games.
I mean, you got me there.
See? There's more to life than just Nintendo, and I'm not just saying that because I don't give a shit about them.
But I have talked about something other than Nintendo.
When?
As a prerequisite to talk about a Nintendo thing.
Don't you see the problem there? Everything in your life revolves around Nintendo. It's exhausting.
We try to hang out with you, but all you want to do is play Tetris Attack or talk about Donkey Konga, and we just can't take it anymore.
But I'm happy with who I am. I'm more than content with the life I've chosen, and I don't want to change.
Ah, that's the thing. You've already been enjoying the non-Nintendo games. We both know there's a part of you that wants this just as much as we do. You just have to let that part out.
Does it really matter who's my favourite company? Us disagreeing doesn't mean that you can come for me. Why should I change what I like just to fit your needs? I'm not hurting anybody, I'm just being me. You say that I should try new things, but I don't think I can. I was bred, born and raised a Nintendo fan. 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 I never cared about the Xbox or the PS3. I was content with my DS and my Nintendo Wii. I never cared about Halo or The Last of Us. Our likes are different, but really, I don't get the fuss. Just because I like Mario doesn't change my worth. My opinions matter just as much as anybody else on earth. Is it so wrong for me to be okay with who I am? Because I'll enter the grave as a Nintendo fan. 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 But perhaps I'm wrong and I should change my ways. Can I really ignore Sega for the rest of my days? Perhaps it's not too late. I could learn to love more. But if I don't, I'll love Nintendo until death is knocking at my door. Can it really be so bad to differ from my norm? If I stay the same, I'll have to deal with their scorn. Is it time for me to change who I truly am? Or am I destined to forever be a Nintendo fan? A Nintendo fan. A Nintendo fan. A Nintendo fan. A Nintendo become?
If you keep it up at this rate, you could become human.
How many experiences have I locked myself out of by just being a Nintendo fan?
Well, okay, let's just say more than the amount of sexual experiences I haven't missed out on.
Holy shit!
Look, man, I think it's just time to face the facts. It's time to try something new, branch out a bit. So, we got your present. Open it up and give it a go.
Alright. Oh, God. This wrapping paper's impossible to get through. Somebody pass me some scissors.
Did somebody say incision?
No! Wait, but I don't have a PS4.
Doesn't your arse hurt?
No, I just thought you guys used bricks as pillows.
This is your house.
So what? I'm just supposed to plug this thing in, hook it up to my TV, put in this Spider-Man disc, pick up the controller and start playing it?
That's the idea, yeah.
God, you guys are the worst. And where am I supposed to keep this PS4?
I know of the most perfect little hole you can put it in.
For the last time, I'm not gonna you with it.
For once, I actually just meant this little cubby.
Damn it, it fits so perfectly too. So, the PlayStation 4, huh? Guess that copy of FNAF Security Breach I bought is worth a damn now. It feels really strange playing a game on not a Nintendo system. I know I've played a PS4 in the past, but coming back to it, it's an interesting feeling. So, let's give Spider-Man a go, shall we? Now, I've never been into the whole superhero thing. Conceptually, I get it, and I definitely see why it appeals to people. I've just never been one of those people. But if there's ever been a superhero that I've been able to get on board with, it's Spider-Man. I watched and loved Into the Spider-Verse, and now I'm playing his PlayStation 4 game. I'd like to see Captain America say that. In this game, we play as the Title, doing things that I am led to believe are pretty standard practice for this guy. The game starts off with a sequence where we fight an iconic Spider-Man villain, Big Tuxedo Man. This section gives us a nice sample platter of the gameplay the game has to offer, and is therefore enough for me to say with confidence that I love this game. Let's break this down here. Spider-Man fundamentally has 3 types of gameplay: exploration, combat, and PETA. The game takes place in New York City, which is a big open sandbox, and the way you traverse the terrain is by using Spider-Man's signature webs to swing all over the place. This is the most intensely satisfying thing I have ever experienced in an open world game. The way you swing from one building to the next, building your momentum, weaving your way through really tight spots in this bustling urban kingdom, it's exhilarating. It feels so natural. The controller just melts into my hands and I become one with my character. I feel the rush of each swing, each jump, each trick, and it is downright addictive. Never has traversal felt so spectacular in a game, and it's not even the primary focus of the gameplay. A lot of the game is spent in combat, where Spider-Man's web slinging is also used to offer a really unique spin on battling. It honestly took me a while to become anywhere near competent at fighting, purely because there's just a lot going on, but once I got the hang of it, I fell in love. You have your standard chain of punches and kicks, but you're also able to integrate web slinging and Spider-Man's agility to bring an intoxicating sense of freedom and empowerment to the battles that makes them all the more satisfying. There's no better feeling than racking up a combo on a bunch of enemies, and the game even encourages this by granting you more focus the more combos you rack up. Focus essentially grants you the ability to heal mid-battle, and gives you a one-hit kill special move when the focus meter is full, which is an incredibly beneficial tool to have at your disposal, meaning you'll want to be racking up those combos in order to gain more focus. There is a lot on offer to empower the player during combat, but that doesn't mean it's easy. Even when I had gotten a better grasp at how to approach fights, I still found myself dying a fair amount. The game has a lot for the player to take advantage of, but it's still able to offer a decent level of challenge in spite of that. And that's really commendable. The final gameplay mode, if you will, is Peter Parker. He's not a person, he's an option. There were a good number of times throughout the part of the game I played through where you'd get to play as Peter Parker, rather than Spider-Man, because they're not the same guy, I promise. And these sections are wildly different in terms of how they play. They mostly take place in Octavius Industries, and have a much bigger emphasis on puzzle solving and deduction. This may sound pretty uninteresting compared to the rest of what I just described to you, but I never found that to be the case. In fact, the contrast between the Peter Parker gameplay and the Spider-Man gameplay was actually really compelling to me, and I found both fun for their own reasons. This game is just... it's wonderful, man. And there's so much of it. I was exposed to just an insane number of unique things to upgrade and collect. This is a damn meaty game, and I can't wait to take a bigger bite out of it. Man, this game's actually really fun.
Wow, I know, it literally feels like you're wearing a red skin-tight suit.
Just me, that doesn't even begin to describe the feeling.
Horrifying. But whatever the case, I'm having fun.
That's great. Now play The Last of Us.
Wait, what? But I'm having fun with Spider-Man.
And that's great. Now it's time to play The Last of Us.
Can't I just keep going with this game?
Do you like having kneecaps?
Yes.
Then no.
You're being far too intense for Christmas Eve, man.
And that's coming from the actual prostitute.
I mean, if I was given life advice by a prostitute, I really would not know what to do with myself. No offense.
You should brush your teeth more.
What the f***?
The Last of Us is potentially one of PlayStation's most notorious IPs, at least from what I've seen. People absolutely adore the game, and Sony absolutely adores re-releasing it every 4 days. But maybe there's a reason for that after all. The Last of Us is a narrative survival game that takes place during what is essentially a zombie apocalypse. The dead are alive and out for blood, the world is in ruin, and society has all but completely ceased to exist. This is something that's been done countless times throughout media. I mean, the Walking Dead TV show started up 3 years before this game had released, and was dominating the world by 2013. But I think The Last of Us still manages to have a unique approach to the trope, and a compelling story to tell. The game starts off with some scenes establishing the character Joel and his daughter Sarah, and it establishes pretty quickly that while they're clearly very different people, they're very close. Sarah is awoken by a call from her uncle Tommy, who's desperate to speak to Joel. She gets up to try and find him, and this is where we start to see that things aren't quite right here. News broadcasts, explosions in the distant city, police sirens blaring all around. Something bad is going on.
and Sarah doesn't know what it is. She eventually finds Joel, and the two are bombarded by their neighbour, who has clearly been made ill by whatever is going on right now. And Joel has no choice but to shoot him in front of his own daughter. Uncle Tommy shows up, and the three frantically make their way to the city. All the while, the two men try and figure out just what the hell is going on. There's a real sense of panic and mystery that I find really intriguing here, and experiencing this part of the game from Sarah's perspective is really interesting. They make it into the city and end up in a car crash, which forces them on foot. The sheer fear in the city's people creates such a tense atmosphere. The chaos unfolding all around you while you try and find a way out. It's also captivating. We try to make our way to the highway until we bump into an officer. They desperately try to ask for help, but Uncle Tommy shoots the officer dead, but it's too late. Sarah was fatally wounded by the shot and dies in her father's arms. Within the first 15 minutes, this game already had me emotionally invested into its characters, and made me genuinely emotional when one of them was killed off. The death of Sarah came off as very symbolic to me, a loss of innocence before whatever was going on in the world took over for good. And then this was probably the biggest problem I had in my time with The Last of Us. The story and narrative for the rest of the game takes place 20 years after everything we just experienced, which has its benefits, and also has its drawbacks. The world is in complete ruin. There's still a close approximation of a civilization left in the city, but they're ruled under heavy, harsh law enforcement, and have nothing in the way of quality of life. There's a group that the game continuously makes mention of called the Fireflies, who stand for the exact opposite of what the leaders of the survivors stand for, and are therefore considered terrorists and a threat. There's a lot of really interesting narrative threads going on, the most notable of which being Ellie. Now, I've only played until the end of Chapter 2, so my time with this character has been very brief. But I can already tell her role and relationship with Joel is going to be really interesting. Whether Joel will see it or not, Ellie is clearly a stand-in for his own daughter, and the emotions that that relationship will elicit is going to be a really interesting thing to see play out. But if you ask me, this happening 20 years after Sarah's passing severely undercuts the emotional weight of this setup. Sure, it's fresh in our minds, and yes, Joel would obviously still be deeply affected by the loss of his daughter, but 20 years just feels like too big a time gap, in my opinion. The story on offer here is definitely what I found to be the most compelling part of this game. The gameplay is also pretty solid though. I'm no good at the gunplay, to be perfectly honest, but I still find it really fun, and the stealth, exploration, and melee combat on offer is really solid and very enjoyable. After all the time I've spent disregarding this game as Sony's unremarkable cash cow, I've got to admit it. I've been wrong about The Last of Us.
I can't believe I'm about to say this, but that was also a really fun time.
It's almost as if you're stepping into uncharted territory. Get it?
Yes.
Because Uncharted?
Yep. No, I got that.
You're going to be playing Uncharted now.
Loud and clear, buddy. Mm-hmm.
Uncharted 4 is a game I've heard the name of a lot throughout the past few years, but that I've never actually known anything about. The game stars Nathan Drake, a fairly notorious thief, and we open on him driving a boat through a storm with a character called Sam. The game starts out right in the middle of the action, which I found gave it an immediate impact. We then cut to a flashback of Nathan's childhood, where he escapes his orphanage to go and see Sam, who is revealed to be his brother. Then we cut to the future, where Nathan is in prison, and we engage in a prison fight, and are then led through the disturbing depths of this facility by a warden. Once we reach one of the most hidden parts of the prison, it's revealed that the warden is actually on our side, and he sets us free so that we can go investigate a 300-year-old riddle that relates to one of the cells in this prison. Once we've platformed our way up to this cell, we then have to engage in a puzzle to find a treasure hidden in the wall. Then, after making our way back to the warden, we meet up with Sam and this new character Rafe, And then it's not long before the guy we were previously in a prison fight with is thirsty for more, and we end up in an all-out brawl with his gang. Then we end up in a prison escape sequence with loads of frantic parkour action, and once we eventually escape, we cut to 15 years later and we're scuba diving! All of this happens in the first hour and a half of the game. Uncharted 4 covers so much ground so very quickly, and yet it somehow pulls it off almost perfectly. All of these sections felt distinct from each other. They were all connected narratively, but they were all wholly unique in terms of the gameplay and the scenario, and they were all indescribably fun. They all stick around for the perfect amount of time. Not one section outstays its welcome. They all give you a hugely enjoyable burst of gameplay, a narrative reason for said gameplay, and then they move on before they had a chance to feel stale. It's incredible. The gameplay itself is also immaculate. While this is a shooter, you spend most of the opening few hours climbing and parkouring your way through the exquisitely rendered environments. And this just feels incredible. The weight of Nathan is perfect. There's a real impact to each and every one of your jumps, each of your landings. When you pull off a jump properly, you feel it. And it feels good. This is particularly true during the flashback sequence and the prison escape sequence, in my opinion. For the former, it's the game's way of introducing the player to Nathan's insane ability to traverse any and all obstacles. But with his brother acting as a guide, it introduces these gameplay elements in a low-stakes environment and allows you to grow comfortable with the moveset. You then compare this to the prison break sequence, which is do or die. You have to be quick on your feet and figure out where you're supposed to go and how you're supposed to get there as quickly as you can. The way these two sections contrast one another is really compelling to me, and only works to bolster each of them. And man, this game is impeccably good at creating suspense and tension. Very much in the prison break portion, obviously, but also in the boat chase section right at the beginning. The high-octane, frantic action is exhilarating. But it also achieves this in sections like the climb to the cell and the scuba diving section. The stakes feel a lot lower, and the tension is a lot less over the top, but it's still there. There's a subtlety to these sections that makes them feel really powerful. This game is incredible! Literally my only complaint is that it pulls a Last of Us. Right at the end of the prison break sequence, Nathan's brother Sam is shot and killed. This is a really poignant moment, as although the time we spend with Sam in this game is brief, he and Nathan's connection is felt immediately and strongly, and for such an emotional scene to play out during the most frantic section of gameplay, it's really impactful. And then, almost immediately after, we cut to 15 years later. Why a Naughty Dog like this? But other than that, I have no complaints. This game is the fourth in its series, and I haven't played any of the previous three, and yet, it doesn't feel that way. This game manages to stand so strongly on its own. As a newcomer to the series, I don't feel isolated or out of the loop in any way, shape, or form. Uncharted 4 is an absolutely incredible game, and honestly, one of the very best I've played today.
See, you are capable of enjoying something that has nothing to do with Doshin the Giant.
You know, I never thought I'd agree with that, but even I have to admit it. I'm having a really good time so far.
Ah, thank for that.
Yeah, you're almost f***able again.
That's a nice bonus.
Now, we did bring along some Xbox games, but you don't have one of them either.
Wait, but I do own an Xbox.
No, you don't. That's a Wii U on meth.
Good.
Alright, well, whatever it is, let's see what kind of game you've got in this thing.
It's a really good DVD player.
I mean, like, he's not wrong.
True, but do you think you could make an equally good Forza player?
Why?
Forza is the one game franchise that I have never been able to give a single, solitary shit about. It's just... they all look the damn same. It's just cars and racing, and by the looks of it, boring. It's like, oh, look, you can drive a real car on a real road. Wow! I can already do that, and these games cost more than my yearly road tax. But... fine. I can't exactly say no to it at this point, so I'll give it a chance.
Alright, we've got your Forza Horizon 4.
Cool. Why that one?
Why does that matter?
I don't know. It doesn't. Does it?
Well, you are always going on about how they're all the same game. So what difference does it make what game we give to you anyway?
Fair enough, let's do this.
Forza Horizon 4 is a game about cars and racing. Who would have guessed? I get to pick a name for myself out of this big screen of options, and seeing as I can't choose Rawk, Rosa will do. We get introduced to the game and its controls during the opening segment, where we get to drive in all different seasons to some very upbeat music. And this is where I discovered... oh, I'm bad. We make our way to the Horizon Road Racing Festival, where I get to choose my car. No, really. I get to choose my car. This lady here tells me about how we're actually in Britain, which means I get to drive my actual car in my actual home country, and damn it, this is a focus! I don't drive a concentration, I drive a party. I get to pick a reg? Roxon 9? Perfect. And then I hit the road. From here on out, I basically had free reign on what I did. There were a couple of races I could partake in, but if I felt like it, I could take the time to drive around wherever I damn well please and get used to my car. I never got used to my car. I don't know, man. The controls in this game... I kind of hate them. The game is supposed to be a simulation racer, much more realistic than the likes of Mario Kart. So please tell me why my wheels are covered in butter and my engine is being suffocated. I don't know, man. The controls and handling just feel funky. I never really felt a good sense of control over the vehicle, which meant that when it came to races... I wasn't good. Or at least, that's my opinion. The announcer lady, on the other hand...
I can already see you've got great potential.
She fucking loved me. Here's the thing though. When you're not in a race, and when you're free to just drive around the world of this game, that is when it can be pretty damn enjoyable. Getting up to insanely high speeds, zipping through the landscapes, and dodging other cars on the road, it was oddly freeing. If the road was straight, I was having an absolute blast, and then I'd reach a turn and I'd give up on my hopes and dreams. By the way, this game is stunning! The world it presents is absolutely drop-dead gorgeous! Even when you're flying past parts of the environment so fast that they barely even register. You know what? I'll admit it. This game has a lot going for it. It's beautiful and has some fun to offer, but I think with the bigger focus on racing and traversing tightly designed courses with the clunky driving mechanics, it's not as fun as it could be. And I think a large part of that is because I'm not a car person. This game very clearly appeals to people who love cars. They love modifying them and are super invested in their specs and performance, and saying this out loud I feel like I'm describing a computer more than a mode of transport. But I'm just not one of those people. I can absolutely see why people would enjoy this game, but because I'm not a part of that world, it has less of an appeal to me. And that means that at its core, there was always going to be a disconnect between me and this game. And while the random appearance of Lego does nothing to really fix that, it is a fun bonus.
Guys, look, I get the appeal of this game, I really do, but of all of the games that you've given me, this one feels the least for me.
Alright, you can't win them all. We'll have one last game for you to check out. and I think you're gonna like it.
You have been surprisingly spot on so far, so shoot. What have you got for me?
Halo 5.
Cool.
I'm sorry, you questioned why we got you Forza Horizon 4 before the previous games, but you didn't question Halo 5.
Yep.
Why?
I don't know.
Wait a minute, you also didn't question why Uncharted 4 instead of the games before it.
Oh yeah, I did not do that.
I just...
Walk away, man. Walk away.
Halo. One of the most iconic franchises of all time. Microsoft's darling gem that is arguably the reason they were able to find success in the games industry in the first place. Feels like a game I should have been playing before now. I know very little about Halo. I know Master Chief and guns. So when I started the game as this blue not Master Chief guy, I was befuddled. The game starts off with a lot of story cutscenes that are bafflingly good looking. The animation, the models, the lighting, it is genuinely stunning. And these cutscenes give a bit of context as to my mission here. We jump into gameplay pretty quick, and it made me realize just how poisoned my brain is by Nintendo games. Because my very first thought was, hey, this game's UI looks a whole lot like Metroid Prime's. Yeah. Halo 5, and Halo in general, is a first-person shooter, meaning your primary gameplay consists of... The controls here are really smooth and feel great to play with. I just think that I'm bad at shooters. My aim was abysmal, and it took me an embarrassingly long time to even notice most of the enemies in front of me. And as much as I'd love to try and weasel my way out of responsibility and blame the game, I know my limitations, man. That didn't make the gunplay any less fun, though. Once I did finally start making hits more consistently, I had a blast taking down enemies. Speaking of which, the enemies I encountered had some really unique and cool designs. They were all robotic creatures of some description, and the designs were super intricate and really compelling to look at. Speaking of compelling to look at, this is another game that is just absolutely stunning. The world has such a grand sense of scale to it. In the beginning, the places you're exploring are fairly tightly packed, with not much room for deviation, but over in the distance you can see a massive battle going on with some gargantuan spaceships, and it all feels so epic. We finally do get to play as Master Chief a little while in, and when you explore this big ship containment area, there's an intoxicating sense of scale to the world around you. Everything is just enormous, and you're made to feel so small, which is a really interesting concept to play with in a shooter. There was also a section that had a light sense of horror to it, which I found really compelling. It didn't scare me or anything, but there was definitely a sense of creepiness and unease. Later on in the opening section, you even get to pilot a gunship and fly around this little area shooting down other ships. The controls felt pretty clunky, but it was still a really fun sequence to work through. Now, I had a good time with Halo 5, but I also had a fair few problems with it. Problem the first? Throughout the game, you're able to pick up different weapon types, which is something I really appreciate, as having a reason to switch up what gun you're using is pretty fun. My problem is that the guns can run out of ammo, and they do so pretty quickly. No big deal, that's pretty realistic after all, so let me just pick up another one? Let me pick up another one? Let me... What the f*** is happening? There were so many times I tried to pick up a new gun, and it just would not let me. The button prompt would be on screen, I'd be standing right next to it, I was pressing the right button, and the game just said, nah. This genuinely happened to me when all of my current weapons were out of ammo. I had no line of offense. And the game just said, tough tits, bitch! Problem the second, which, admittedly, isn't the game's fault at all. I feel way too out of the loop to have any sort of investment in this story. There were some parts of what I played that felt like they were supposed to elicit a big reaction. like Cortana speaking to Master Chief. But because I haven't played any of the other games, I didn't care. I had no reason to care. And that kind of went for the entire story of this game. Again, not the game's fault, these guys' fault, but still, something that brought my experience down a tad. And problem the third. This console came out in 2013. Why the hell is the controller exclusively battery powered?
Well, I couldn't feasibly play any more than that.
What?
What?
You were right near the end of the mission! Are you gonna get new batteries?
Nah, I'm content with where I got to.
You're the worst person on earth. I can't deal with you.
Is this just because we aren't playing any of your precious Nintendo games?
Oh, no. You guys were right.
About you being the worst?
No. That there's more to life than just Nintendo games.
What?
Yeah, I've had a really good time today. I'll miss playing Nintendo games, but these games I've played today, and more on the same consoles I'm sure, have shown me that they have more merit than I've ever given them credit for. They're really fun, well-crafted experiences that I've been wrong to shun and avoid all of my life. So, you guys are right. I'm not just a Nintendo fan anymore.
I'm proud of you.
Me too, man. Me too.
Where'd Carson go?
Well, if that's truly how you feel, let's keep this momentum going all Christmas. I have loads of non-Nintendo games we can play.
Sure. What do we have next then?
Well, I was thinking we could start with the Rare Replay Collection. It's a collection of old games by this company called Rare?
Okay, what console is that on?
The Xbox.
Ah, his controller's died. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I have spare batteries.
Oh, so they just aren't Halo worthy. I see how it is.
No. I just need to see where this goes.
That's the spirit. Alright, let's boot this thing up.
So tell me, which of these games do you guys enjoy most?
Me personally, I love Banjo-Kazooie.
I'm more of a perfect dark man myself.
And I just can't get enough of Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Is it because of the booby flower?
It is because of the booby flower.
Wait a minute. How do you know about that?
Wait, you seriously don't see what's happening here? Guys, these are all Nintendo games.
No, these are Xbox games, you idiot.
Oh yeah? Then explain this.
But that's...
Your precious Banjo-Kazooie on the Nintendo 64.
Well, that doesn't prove anything.
Don't tell me.
Yep. Even you're not safe.
But these are our favourite games of all time.
Then I have bad news for you, bitches!
Are we? Nintendo fans?
No. I think we're all just fans of video games.
What do you mean?
I mean... who cares what systems we play games on? What companies those games were made by? As long as we're having fun, that's all that matters. And who's to say that just because you like one, you can't like another? Sure, I may be a Nintendo fan, but that doesn't mean I'm just a Nintendo fan. I'm not just a Nintendo fan. Every day, for the last 4 years, I've woken up, I've sat in this chair, and I've said, "Hey, what's up, it's your boy Rawk. I am just a Nintendo fan." I can't believe I never realised how much I was limiting myself. Video games have such a rich, deep history. Thousands upon
thousands of masterpieces that have impacted all different kinds of people in such a positive way. And so to limit which games I allow myself to enjoy based solely on who made them? That's such a self-destructive, narrow-minded thing to do. I didn't even realise it. I'll always be a Nintendo fan. But I think it's time for me to open up my heart, give other games a chance to show me just how amazing this industry's offerings can be. And I think that's what those guys were trying to get through to me all along.
Guys, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. You guys were able to see what was best for me better than I even could. You are good friends. And I appreciate you.
Don't mention it, man. Alright, let's try doing it your way.
What?
Let's play some Nintendo games.
We really want to see what we've been missing out on and be as open to new experiences as you've been today.
So, tell us what you think we should start with. Don't hold back.
Okay, well, if you like Banjo-Kazooie, then you'll probably also like Super Mario 64 and Donkey Kong 64 to some extent. And then you've got to try out the rest of the 3D Marios. It's only natural. It's a little bit out there, but I think if you tried it, you'd learn to love Pikmin. Zelda is obviously a series you need to try, both 2D and 3D. The new Super Mario Bros. Wii has 4-player multiplayer, so we can all play together!